The following program may contain strong language and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everybody, how's everyone doing? Hey everybody. Action. Action. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. How's everyone doing on today? We are here. We are experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties. Hey. Okay, I'm sorry. How's everyone doing on today? We are here. We are experiencing. I got technical difficulties. Kwame got technical difficulties. Hey, everybody, what's going on? So today we are doing part 2 of what happened to Black television. And I told you guys that this was inspired by Candace Owens. Picture that. But she had asked this question during an interview. And it got me to thinking, you know, what has happened to Black television? Because we used to have people on TV that were Black people that were dignified and, you know, had class, had self-respect, and now it's totally changed. I don't have to go to your boost mobile. Okay, so I love my producer, my brother. So I said, let me do a show about this because I would love for us to get back into good Black television, because now we have it's television for Black television is trash. I think it ended, the trash era ended with Blackish. When Blackish left, I just don't know. So Kwame, if you're ready, we're gonna get started. So today's show is dedicated, I'm paying homage to one of my personal heroes of television, and that is Mr. Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby is homage to him because he gave us great television with the Cosby Show. Now, Bill Cosby was a true legend in comedy. He got to start doing stand-up in San Francisco in the 1960s, where he received, he received a starring role in a show called I Spy, which was a dramatic series, and that led him to have his very first sitcom called The Bill Cosby Show. Now, the other show, I Spy, it earned him a Primetime Emmy for acting, in which he became the very first Black person to win a Primetime Emmy for acting. So it's a great accomplishment. So then in 1972, he turned his character, Fat Albert, from his stand-up comedy days into a cartoon. Let's see the intro, Kwame. This is my favorite cartoon. Okay, this is the Bill Cosby Show. I'm sorry, yeah, keep going. This is his very first. Okay, here we go. This is his very first sitcom show, the Bill Cosby Show. We played a character named Chet.
Every day, long as I'm away.
And then, which led him, like I said, which led him to do the Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, which were a part of his stand-up routine based on his brothers and his friends that he grew up with.
Hey, hey, hey! It's Fat Albert, and I'm gonna sing a song for you. And Bill's gonna show you a thing or two. You'll have some fun now with me and all the gang, learning from each other while we do our thing.
This is Bill Cosby coming at you with music and fun. And if you're not careful, you may learn something before it's done. Hey, hey, hey.
And during this time, while he did this, after he went back to school and got his degree in education, because he loved educating our people. And it also, in turn, he was on my favorite childhood show, The Electric Company, with Morgan Freeman. And so, and during this same time, before we get to the Cosby Show, he did movies such as Uptown Saturday Night and Let's Do It Again with Sidney Poitier. And the purpose of those movies were to counter the violence that were in blaxploitation films such as Superfly, Sheba Baby, all those great movies, no doubt, not taking anything away from them. But they show violent society, and they show black people as prostitutes, gangbangers, gangsters, how people in Hollywood really see us. So Bill and Sidney got together and created, like I said, Uptown Saturday Night and Let's Do It Again. And it brought it in a comedy form. So now, with that, during the 1980s, he also produced and starred in a new show called The Cosby Show from 1984 to 1992. Let's get into this. This is the intro, the very first intro. That was still the season one opener. Of course, you know, things change and blossom. So his character, Heathcliff Huxtable, it was he became known as America's dad during this time period because everybody, black, white, Asian, whatever, loved Heathcliff Huxtable as a father figure. And also he incorporated his real life activities into his character, such as running track. He was a track person. He did track in high school and in college, and a veteran. Bill Cosby is a Navy veteran, and also basketball. He's a basketball player. Well, was now you know he's 85 and elderly. So now, yeah. So the Cosby Show, which is great, which was a great show run. Now, how most people that's in your industry, in your field, will call you to congratulate you once your show is running a success, because the Cosby Show ran, and it was the #1 show from 1985 to 1989. Bill Cosby received a call from Norman Lear during the first year run, and Norman Lear said to Bill Cosby, "Your show will never work because you don't have a buffoonish character. These are Norman Lear's words, black comedy needs to have a buffoonish character." And as we know, Norman Lear is true to his words. You had JJ from Good Times, buffoon. You had a rerun from What's Happening, buffoon. Every Norman Lear show, Sanford and Son. You had a great, well, I would call Grady a buffoon. were great, and some of Fred's antics, some of their antics were foolish. So yeah, that's his MO. Bill Cosby told him he was dead ass wrong, and as we see, he was wrong. Very successful show. Now in 2008, here's where shit went left. So black people became infuriated with Bill when he said in an interview, cities such as Chicago, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Detroit, and Oakland, California, where the crimes were high and young black men were being murdered and put in jail, he stood his ground and said that the parents of these individuals were failing them, and because they were no longer introducing morals or standards into them. And me personally, I agree. I mean, I've said this on TikTok. So yeah, exactly, Rochelle. I learned so much from this show. Exactly. It was it. I mean, you know, I think sometimes people confuse the character with the real person. Bill Cosby is Bill Cosby, whereas Heathcliff Huxtable is Heathcliff Huxtable. But Bill Cosby, I pay homage to him because he did great things. He loves our people, and he changed the face of black television. Thank you, Mr. Cosby. I give you your flowers. I give you a standing ovation. Well, I give you an ovation. So let's get into the TV shows, and I want us to go down memory lane for some of us. I know some of you all are young and probably don't remember some of these shows, but we're going to go ahead and get into it. Oh yeah, I forgot. This is the intro for the very last season when the cast changed. Well, they had added people to the cast, and they were trying different things out. I have a question. Am I the only one who felt like back in that era, Rudy got on their nerves? Rudy got on my nerves. Rudy got on my nerves. What was that? There was no last story. Oh, and the remake. Now, I don't know if you're talking about this or not, but also the Cosby Show was influential in Hollywood, whereas there was another show created on CBS to counteract this one, but it just didn't land. It was a show called Charles and Company. Who y'all remember that? Kwame, put up this show. The picture of Charles and Company, where the show was starring Flip Wilson, Gladys Knight, Christoph St. John, introduced us to Jaleel White and Della Reese. Now, Little Rudy grew up and got on my nerves, LLE. So this is Charlie and Company. So CBS, once they saw that the formula worked, whereas you can have a black show without having buffoons in it, they developed this to counteract the Cosby Show. And this was modeled after the Cosby Show, but this just didn't land. It lasted for one season. There are 18 episodes. The only way you can see them now is on YouTube. I don't know if all of them are on YouTube or not, but yeah. But this was the show. And the premise was a family, where their everyday activities. Jaleel White was like Little Rudy. The sister, I forgot her name, Vanessa. Christoph St. John, the male, Denise. But I never saw the show actually. Well, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad show. I checked it out. It wasn't bad. It just in the words of Thais, it just didn't land. That's all. It just didn't land. And it didn't win over the critics. It just did not. So, Charlie and Company, modeled after the Cosby Show, and it just, like I said, didn't land. There's only one Cliff and Claire, and the Huxtable kids. The only one. So let's move on to the television show. Let's go down memory lane in the 80s when we were kids. Well, I was a kid. Some of y'all probably weren't born. And let's go. First show up is called Amen. Amen, which ran for 5 seasons, starring Sherman Hemsley. This was his comeback from the Jeffersons. And he had been offered roles before, but everybody that offered him a role wanted him to do something George Jefferson liked, which this show kind of sort of did. But he said, he changed up some things so that you wouldn't see because he didn't want anyone to see George. He wanted everyone to see Deacon Fry, which I think he did a good job with it. I also starred Clifton Davis and as Reverend Reuben Gregory, and you have Anna Marie Horsford. Raleigh was just what's his name? God, I can't think. I got the right name now. But he was a well-known gospel writer, a songwriter in the gospel world. And yeah, him. Now, Clifton Davis, the T on Clifton Davis, who was Reverend Reuben Gregory, was also a real minister on this show. But before that, this is him speaking. So before that, he was an avid cocaine user and a womanizer. And he dated Nancy Wilson. And he has a much publicized relationship with Melba Moore. I remember that when I was a kid. And then he also said he slept with a lot of women, so many women that he forgot a lot of them because he was so high. And he's being, he was so high, and he says he was abusive to himself and abusive to those around him. Yeah, but the show ran, like I said, 5 seasons. It was a great show. It was a church show. A lot of church people got into it. Now, the theme song, Kwame, do we have a theme song? It was one of my favorite theme songs growing up as a church kid. The incomparable Vanessa Bell Armstrong, straight out of Detroit, Michigan. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Vanessa sang the stank out of that song. I love that song so much. I just wanted to just hear the theme song. I love the show, but I just really wanted to hear the theme song. She actually, yes, she did. She took us to church, Tiffany. Mama did. Now we're gonna stay in the vein of the Jeffersons. So the next show up is, I wonder how many of you all remember this show. It was called Isabel Sanford's Honeymoon Hotel. Who remembers this show? Y'all remember Isabel Sanford as Louise Jefferson? So, hey, friend. So this Isabel, so the networks were working to find a way to make her comedic. To show her comedic side. So it was created, like the creative show comedic side. It was supposed to air 5 days a week, but it failed so miserably that it just ended abruptly, like after 5 episodes. The goal was to make 100 episodes by the end of the fall. It started in 1987. But like I said, it only went 5 episodes because it was just the ratings tanked. But Isabel, now here's the lesson that I want everyone to get. This is an interview she did, and this is how, if you doubt yourself, you can miss an opportunity. Listen to what she says about how she almost missed the opportunity of creating something great. Roll it.
I didn't want to take the spinoff. I didn't want to do the spinoff because All in the Family was a success. I didn't know what the Jeffersons was going to present. So I turned it down. Jane, the casting director, Jane Murray, she called me and said, I understand that you don't want to go do the spinoff with the Jeffersons. I said, that's right, I don't. She says, why not? I said, because All in the Family is successful. I don't know what the Jeffersons is going to do. I'd rather stay with All in the Family. I know them. I'm used to them. I want to be with them. She says, well, if this is successful enough to go to finally do the spinoff, it wasn't finalized yet. To do it, she says, we will get an actress to do Louise Jefferson, and we'll write Louise Jefferson out of All in the Family. Well, that helped me make up my mind right then and there, which one to accept. So I said, oh, well, okay, in case like that, I'll go along with the spinoff. It was sad to say goodbye. Edith and Louise had a little scene, a goodbye scene. And she was crying. You see, her eyes were red and I was crying. it was sad that and I really hated to leave, really hated to leave. And she wasn't happy about us leaving either. And she was so, you could see it, her eyes were red, which made me cry too, see? But it was a sad scene, serious scene. Nobody objected but me. I was the only one. Then I finally gave in too. And then we gave our first run through for the producers. Then Norman came to me and said, Isabel, how you feel? I said, I'm scared to death. I'm scared to death. He said, why? You've been doing this. You've been doing this, he said, for how long? I said, but this is different. I'm carrying the show. I wasn't before. Before I had my 6 lines, it was left up to the rest of the actors to carry the show. For Archie and Edith and all. But this is different. This is me. I'm out there in front.
So I showed this because I want some of you all to know that you can come out of your comfort zone. Because if you stay in your comfort zone, you'll miss it. You will miss something great. You'll miss producing greatness. We will miss your greatness because you have something great to offer us, but you're scared. She was scared, like she said, well, I'm comfortable doing my 6 lines, not carrying the show. Ma'am, you have what it takes. This is why they came to you. But I'm glad she did it. So I hope someone got out of it what I got out of it. You know, to step out of your comfort zone, get in there, do you, and everything will work out. As we see, the Jeffersons lasted 11 seasons. And it was a spinoff. Now, All in the Family had great shows that come to be birthed from there. You had that and you had Maude. And so it was great. So I want you all to do the same thing. Come out of your comfort zones, get out there and do you. That's the word from Isabel Sanford. Okay, moving right on. The next show up is another person who was on a hit TV show, and producers thought that having their own show would work out fine. So it's a show called 1 in a Million. Who remembers this show? Roll it.
Look at you now, you're on your way. Things are getting better every single day. It's so right, and that's the way you stay. Cause it's your chance to do it your way. 1 in a million dreams come true. Once in a lifetime it happens to you. Now you're the one making all of the rules. You're 1 in a million, girl. In a million dreams come true. Once in a lifetime it happens to you. Now you're the one making all of the rules. You're 1 in a million, girl. You're 1 in a million, girl.
So the show lasted 1 season, unfortunately. It was pretty funny, but the producers thought that Shirley Hemphill was going to produce like she did on What's Happening. On What's Happening, she was not the main character, but one of the I can't get the word out. Anyway, she was one of the co-characters. I'll say that. But she was so strong with it, they thought that this would be good. And the show's not bad. But the premise of the show was a cab driver who one of her regular riders died in her cab, but had left her his business. And that's Shirley. So Shirley comes in and she runs the business. Of course, she has oppositions through certain people, but his nephew and his secretary help her run the business. And that's the premise of 1 in a Million. But yeah, I remember this is Saturday night to 8 o'clock. Who don't remember? What was y'all doing as kids on Saturday night at 8 o'clock? We watched TV until it was time to go to bed and get them to go to church. Well, that was my childhood. But now Shirley Hempfield also helped to jumpstart careers of Martin Lawrence. We'll talk about him next week on the 90s. Martin Lawrence, she gave him a shot. He's a stand-up comedian, but she gave him a shot and suggested that he come on to the show What's Happening Now. And he did. That's when he started. That's how he got into sitcoms. That's how we saw him. She also helped the stand-up career of Rosie O'Donnell. Shirley was a regular when she wasn't filming. She would do stand-up comedy. That was her main thing, stand-up comedy. So she did stand-up comedy at a certain club. And one night she was there. She saw Rosie O'Donnell performing. Rosie was doing like an amateur night. So she liked Rosie so much. She told her, she said, you know what, you're really good. I want you. So she went to the owners of the club and said, listen, I want her, because Shirley had a night at that club. I forgot what night it was. But she had a night, and she told them, listen, I want this girl to open up for me, and you're going to pay her $25 a week, which is great money in 1979, because that's $200 a month. In 1979, now I don't know what it was like living in LA then, but I'm sure it's a lot better now. Because $200 now is like having $2. But yeah, so that's how Rosie got her start on the stand-up circuit, because of Shirley Hempfield, and she's always thanked her for that. 1 in a million, Shirley Hempfield. Shirley, thank you. Rest in peace, and thank you for your contribution, because Shirley was a funny woman. Absolutely funny in stand-up and on screen. Shirley was it. Now, the next show we're going to roll around into, is called The New Odd Couple, which has other veteran actors from hit TV shows, and they put them together to have to try to have a hit TV show, which it didn't land. Another show that lasted 1 season, 18 episodes. So The New Odd Couple ran from 1982 to 1983. And it's based on the play by Neil Simon, which was also, it's an updated version of the 1970 show, The Odd Couple, with Jack Klugman and Tony Randall. So here we have Damon Wilson, Lamont Sanford, and Ron Glass, detective, I forgot his name on, Barney Miller. I don't know why I wanted to say Rubble. But the show also starred Joe Marie Payton and the queen of sitcoms, in my opinion, Thelma Hopkins. But here's the intro. Do y'all remember this show? Now, at least you say you don't remember. I remember the show. Now, Damon Wilson, who plays Oscar on the show, who was Lamont Sanford. Now, he would speak proudly of this show that didn't last. But Sanford and Son, he considered foolishness. Well, you know what? Because he had left Hollywood altogether, excuse me, and became a minister. So Jesus didn't like Sanford and Son, but Jesus loved his other work. And he was saying how he called Sanford and Son foolishness. I don't know if he says that now. But back when he was doing interviews about his church and everything, Sanford and Son was foolishness. Even though it was bringing him money, and still that foolishness is still bringing him money because those shows are still airing. So, sir, you're still receiving a residual check. And I know for Sanford and Son, those residual checks are nice. But Thelma Hopkins on it as well. But they thought the show would work because Ron Glass and Damon Wilson were friends in real life. They did a couple of episodes of Sanford and Son together. And it just, it didn't land. It just didn't land. Just didn't land. But now, okay. I got one more before we go to commercial. Let's hit it to the next one, which is one of my favorites. Give Me a Break. Give Me a Break, starring the one and only Nell Carter. Do you all now? I know you all remember this show. You got to remember this. You got to, if you are 40 and up, you got to remember this. You got to. So, Give Me a Break. The premise of the show was a woman whose friend had died, and she took on the responsibility of caring for the family, for the lady's family. It was very now Nell Carter. The show, the star of the show is Nell Carter, Broadway superstar and everything. You also have Jory Lawrence, and once again, Thelma Hopkins. But Thelma Hopkins didn't come into it until the 4th season when they changed everything. Jory Lawrence came in the 3rd season, the end, when Dolph Sweet, who was their dad, excuse me, he had died on the show. But in real life, he died. He had a heart attack in real life and died, like in mid-season. So they wrote that into the show. And then for some odd reason, they felt that, it didn't work with just Nell and them. So they started adding characters. So they added Grandpa became a regular, which is his father. And they also had, his grandfather, I got a message. His grandfather became a regular, and Joey became a regular, and then Addie came in the next week. We're going to go to commercial real quick, then I'll finish talking about Give Me a Break. Real quick. Quick commercial. 101, 2 and 2. Okay. So I'm laughing at some of y'all comments. I'm laughing at somebody that watch it with ageism. But back to Give Me a Break. So Give Me a Break, like I said, it was it ran from 81 to 87, 6 seasons. They changed. Now Nell Carter, for some reason, she just, I don't, like I said, because it comes off as a little mammy-ish now that I watch it now from my eyes, how I view things now. It is a little mammy-ish. So she told a New York Times reporter that I do not want to be known as a girl from Give Me a Break. That's not how she wanted to end. She wanted to be known for other than like her Broadway singing. Because Nell Carter could sing. She really could sing her face off. And like I said, they brought in Thelma Hopkins. So after the 3rd season, so going to the 4th season, you had the dad had gone. So Samantha, the youngest child, was going off to college. So how they did it was they wrote out the family. Nobody was left but Nell, Addie, and Joey. Samantha had a recurring role. Katie and Julie were gone. They stayed in California. Nell and Addie, Joey moved to New York. Sam was going to school in New York, but Sam was only on the show like a couple of episodes. And also, back to someone who I mentioned previously, this was Rosie O'Donnell's very first start into sitcom world. She was the neighbor for Nell and Addie. That was her start in the sitcoms. And it was pretty good with them in New York, but it wasn't quite as good as them in California. Not quite. But Give Me a Break tackled some subject matters such as racism. They did a show episode with Joey in blackface. He sang in blackface at the church. That was a pretty good one. They also deal with obesity because Nell kept fighting with her weight, and the network would tell her, they wanted her for a change, wanted her to keep the weight. Nell wanted to lose weight because it was unhealthy. But Nell also had a cocaine problem, and it was causing friction on the set because sometimes she would be high on the set. So it's causing some frictions between her and the castmates, which was another reason they had written out the girls. I don't know if it was Julie or Samantha because the rumor mill is between the two, but the middle child and the youngest child, she couldn't get along with. Now, she loved the oldest daughter, Katie, in real life. But is between them two is somebody she didn't get along with. Also, if you remember the show, what superstar got their very first sitcom break on this show before we show it? Do we have a comment? Yeah. Okay. So before, who remembers? Yes, the one and only Miss Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston got her start on right before her album debuted. A few months before, she was on the episode, and this was the episode it was before the father passed. Right before, you could tell he was sick. And Whitney was one of Katie's best friends. Let's watch the scene. Or one of the scenes. Okay. Not
a new member.
Okay, no. This scene, this is not that scene. This is just a funny scene tackling obesity. Oh, which one you showing for me? Are you drinking what I'm drinking? That is the thing. Okay.
Give me a break. I sure deserve it. It's time I made it to the top. Give me a break. I'm looking forward. Get behind me. Pull out every stop. I want a happy ending. I'm tired of pretending. Won't let them get the best of me. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Give me a break. The game is the Bible. Give me a break and plan my arrival. Give me a break. For heaven's sake, what happened to my piece of the cake? Give me a break. Give me a break.
Yes, Saturday nights were lit. Now, this is the bomb theme song. Neil sang her face off. They changed it 3 times. Now the third season, I don't have it, but the third season they changed it. Neil wanted something a little bit more. She said it's better, so they changed it. They changed the lyrics and the arrangement. It was good. Tubi. I cannot get into Tubi. I saw you say that earlier on Ty's Live, Drew. I just can't get into Tubi. I tried, but anyway, let's see which clip Quality going to show. Are you going to show the funny clip, or are you going to show Whitney? Let's see. All right, so this clip, let me set it up before you show it. This is the episode dealing with obesity. Because like I said, they tackled obesity, racism, they tackled a lot of issues. Roll it.
A new member. Y'all get ready. Hit.
Fly girl.
Get ready, y'all. Hi.
I'm looking for Porco. I hope I'm not too late.
Oh, it's never too late. All right, group, let's welcome a brand new Porco into the group.
Hit it.
You're a disgusting fat soul. It's hard to big. No one can even stand the sight of you. You look like Porky Pig. You stand around and look bad. Your kitchen needs a full-time guard. But Porco will help you lose that weight, you big disgusting tub of lard.
That was really beautiful.
Oh, it's
Thank you.
just our way of saying welcome to the Porco family. Take a seat.
Or seats, if necessary.
So So that was now today I showed that because in today's times this would have got banned and they all would have been under cancel culture because you're fat shaming and yeah, exactly shade. But okay, well I'm gonna skip. Oh yeah, time run low. So it was Whitney Houston. She got her starting here. It's the start. It's on Tubi, as Jules said. So we're gonna move right on to the next show, which turned 35 years old this year. Made me feel kind of old because I remember when this came out, and it helped shape my decision of going to HBCU. But ladies and gentlemen, a different world. A different world. Now, before we get into it, you tell me which had the better theme song. Roll it, Kwame. We got all the theme songs. Which season had the best? The theme songs. The theme songs. The theme songs. Okay, while he's getting the theme songs together, the first season is actually sang by Phoebe Snow. It was written by Dawn Lewis, who plays Jaleesa on the show. And Jaleesa originally was supposed to originally sing it, but they went with Phoebe Snow, who I love Phoebe Snow, by the way. Yeah. We don't have that. Oh, we don't have it. Okay, so you tell me if you remember the theme songs between the first season with Phoebe Snow, the second through the fifth season with Aretha Franklin, or the very last season with Boyz II Men. Who had the better theme song? While we're doing that, I'm going to tell you about the show. So originally, A Different World was supposed to be a white student who attended an HBCU and her experiences in a predominantly black atmosphere. So, and it was also supposed to star Lena Horne, who was to be an instructor, and Meg Ryan was to be that student. But in mid-season, they changed everything, and Meg Ryan decided to bounce out and go pursue a career in film. So, with that being said, they changed it and made it to Denise being the predominantly, being Denise based around her college experience, consistent with time for her to go to college. So we did that, and they gave her a white roommate, which was Marissa Tomei, and that's how they used that same idea. Now, we'll get to that in a minute. Now, they also tackled issues on this show, a lot of issues. One particular issue in particular I want to talk about, roll it, but Tisha Campbell was the guest. Tisha Campbell and Whoopi Goldberg were the guest stars on this particular episode.
Her aunt gave her a book that changed her life. It was a volume of Maya Angelou poems. After Josie read And Still I Rise, she knew she didn't want to be a ballet dancer or a nurse. She wanted to be a poet.
Stop fidgeting. You are a voice in this world.
So, it was a proud day when she graduated from Hillman with a degree in English literature and high honors. That was the spring of 1992. By the following spring, Josie Webb had died of acquired immune deficiency syndrome, disease we all know as AIDS.
So yeah, that was at that time that was big because no one talked about that on TV. It was like something that was happening, and they kept it as to the gay community. And all you knew was Count Fauci, precious Dr. Fauci, telling if you have it to go get AZT pills, which didn't do shit but help kill people. And I'm saying that from friends of mine who had died from this disease back then in the early 90s from taking because AZT is, in my opinion, it sped up the process. Especially one friend in particular. It sped up his process and it messed up his mind. And it was back during those times, it was a mess. That's all I can say. It was a mess. It was a mess. But A Different World tackled it, and they brought it with showing you how a woman could get it. Because like I said, they kept painting the picture that it's strictly just gay men getting it, strictly gay men. And that was not the case at all. There were women who were getting it. Yeah, they did tackle heavy subjects. Now, After the departure of Lisa Bonet, so this is after Lisa Bonet, she left the show due to her being pregnant by her husband, Lenny Kravitz. And she didn't want to leave. So Debbie Allen, who they brought in to produce everything, Debbie Allen came up with the idea like, hey, we can have Denise being pregnant in college, showing how a girl can be pregnant and still make it. Bill Cosby looked at Debbie Allen in the face and said, absolutely not. Lisa Bonet is pregnant and can be pregnant, but Denise Huxtable cannot be pregnant. Bill Cosby's thinking was the world would not accept Denise Huxtable as unwed and pregnant, which I get his point because everybody kept looking at them as this cookie cutter family where everything was right and everything was just peaches and cream. The Cosby kids didn't do no wrong except go off to a concert in Baltimore to be with the wretched and to overspend money or to get an ear pierce. But other than that, no, they didn't do nothing wild like get pregnant. So yeah, he said no, which forced her to leave the show. And then they changed it. So instead of now having Denise and her friend Maggie, now the premise is focused on everyone, which me personally, I like better. They came back and everyone had something. So then they started tackling the issues that they wanted to tackle. Which, like I said, AIDS, HIV, they tackled homelessness. They tackled, it was so many. It's so many. If you watch A Different World, it's still relevant today. And like I said, check it out. It may influence your children to go to HBCU. It influenced A Different World in school days is what influenced my decision for attending Wilberforce University. And I can honestly say my experience was very, very similar to what they did. And I loved it. It was real life. What they did was real life. You had the fraternities and sororities stepping. You had people out in the courtyard. You had us in the student union, how they hung out at the restaurant. We hung out at the student union, eating, playing spades. That was just a great time. Great time in college. Great. All right, next up on the list, we have Family Matters. Now, this is some tea right here. Family Matters, which is, I'm just speaking on behalf of me, myself. I added this because I know it's one of the favorites of people. It wasn't one of my favorites. It's like, it just wasn't. But anyway, the show lasted for 9 seasons, 8 being on CBS. I'm sorry, 8 being on ABC, and then the very last season being on CBS. Now, when it went to CBS, baby, it sank like the Titanic. It sank. It didn't do nothing. Yeah, it didn't do anything. But the show was a spinoff of a show called Perfect Strangers. I hated that show too. Am I the only one? Did y'all like it? Did y'all like Perfect Strangers? I didn't. Yeah. So the character Harriet Winslow was an elevator operator. And her and her husband Carl, who was a cop. So the show originally was to be centered around their family, the Winslow family. And then during the first season, mid-season, they introduced a character by the name of Steve Urkel, which was their neighbor. Little did they know that was going to be the start of something big. So he became the breakout star, which, just like on the set of Good Times, on the set of Family Matters, caused major problems. Now, okay, wait a minute. But before that, I had 2 different theme songs. Show the first one, Kwame. Who remembers this first one? Well, I know I didn't, but who remembers the first theme? Notice the characters. Look at the people in it. Look at the people.
It's a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. Love and tradition of the grand design, some people say it's even harder to find. Well, then there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls. 'Cause all I see is a tower of dreams, real love bursting out of every scene. As days go by, we're gonna fill our house with happiness. The moon may cry, but we'll smother the blues with tenderness. As days go by, there's room for you, room for me. Protect your heart. It's an opportunity. As days go by, it's the bigger love of the family.
Now that's the one everyone remembers. That's actually the second one. The first one had another little girl who played whatever Jamie Foxworth's character was. I just maybe they just didn't like that little girl at all, the character, because that little girl was replaced by Jamie Foxworth. Then in season 4, Jamie Foxworth went upstairs and she never came down. Judy, that's it. Thank you, Judy Winslow. Yeah, Judy. So anyway, they was having problems on the set. And so, like I said, Steve Urkel was the breakout star. Well, Jaleel White. So it caused so many problems that he did not get along with Jo Marie Payton and the husband. I forgot it. Carl. Well, I'll call him Carl Winslow. So they didn't get along with it. He didn't get along with either one of them. Just like JJ didn't get along with Florida and James. Now tensions got so high on the 8th season that the cast and crew had to pull apart. Jaleel White and Jo Marie Payton, they didn't fight. They were about to come to blows. That's how serious it got. So she ended up leaving the show. And she said now, she's glad she left. She said now, but now in today's time, her and Jaleel White have worked it out. You know, they made up, they matured, and whatever. But they replaced her with, I forgot her name. But if you watch the show Martin, she plays Gina's mother. She became the new Harriet Winslow. And it just didn't fit because everyone's used to seeing Jo Marie Payton. So I was like, you see this woman, who the hell are you? And so much that the actor that plays Carl Winslow, he said he couldn't get into it because he was so used to Jo Marie that it didn't feel right. Even doing the scenes, it didn't feel right. And I'm sure for her, now I've never heard anything that she said about it, but I'm sure for her it didn't feel right because here you coming in. These people have been together for 9 years. Now here you come, you're the new girl on the block, and they were like, Reginald Bell Johnson. Thank you, Tiffany. Yes, he said he just didn't feel right, and I forgot the lady's name, but I call her Gina Waters' mother. She she never came back, and they never said what happened to her. Oh no, Judy, right, or Harriet. Well, Harriet left, like I said, because they got into that fight. But I wondered, this is me. Now, it says that she left. But did she leave voluntarily or did they ask her to leave? Because he was the breakout star. He was the star. So by him being the star, you know, well, we got to keep him. And that's how Hollywood would do. No matter who's right or wrong, if this is the star of the show and this was bringing us money, we're going to go with the star. So if he could have said, I want her out of here. If she's not gone, I'm gone. Mother Winslow, Mother Winslow did leave. She left, and she was replaced by and her real life friend. I forgot, it's another elderly lady. I can't think of her name. She made a joke about going upstairs. So yes, all right. So one more. I got one more, and then we gotta get out here. Real quick. 227. Let's go to 227 because I was gonna spend too much time on Family Matters. And I didn't watch that show like that. 227 was created. Marla Gibbs. It was a play, and it was based on an apartment building in Chicago, Illinois. But when they made it into a TV show, they based it in Washington D.C. and Marla Gibbs. Now Marla, what she did, what I loved about the fact that no videos 227. What I loved what she did was. The producers, as usual, wanted to make her a single mother out here doing it on her own, just like they did Rose, a single mother. Marla told them absolutely not, no. Because when they did the play, it was her and Hal Williams. She said, me and him already have chemistry, and it is not uncommon for Black women to have a husband and a father in the home. So she fought for that, and Mama won. Unlike Mabel King did with What's Happening. I felt bad. She didn't make it. But Esther Rowe won for good times. They had James until they killed him off. But Hal Williams lasted, but they kept trying to kill him off each season. And Marla Gibbs go in that room. No. And it's not because it's not uncommon for Black men to be with their family. It's not uncommon for Black men to have a wife and to be with their wife and to be faithful. It's not. Even though I know people think otherwise, but it's not. But 227, this is another Saturday night show that you watch before you got ready, had to go to bed and get up and go to church in the morning. Calvin was the neighborhood basketball trait. You know what, Dr. Ho? But I will say Calvin was my crush back then. Calvin was, well, he was one of my crushes back then. Now, this show changed. They took out Tiffany. And they never said why. Rose's daughter just took her out the scene. Rose had no kids no more. Then they replaced her with Star Search winner Countess Vaughn, who came in, which, I mean, now that I look at it now, I'm like, do we really need Countess Vaughn? I mean, yeah. Tiffany, yeah, that's what I said, LLE. Yeah, Tiffany disappeared. Tiffany left, and they never said why. All we know is Rose is now childless. They ain't even never mentioned no child no more. And Tiffany, I like Tiffany and Brenda together, you know, but they kept Brenda and Calvin, of course. Rose, who is Helen Martin, who has done numerous television shows. Jackie was a breakout star in this show, The Neighbor, who on back then it caused some tension between her and Marla Gibbs, because Marla Gibbs, the focus should have been on her and Lester, which it was, but here's the thing with that. I'm going to say this, and then we're going to get out of here. When you have people who are co-stars, if that co-star shines bright, that's not the co-star's fault. That is people gravitate to the magic that they have. And Jackie has a magic. So, and her magic shines bright. Even today, Jackie has a magic, and her magic shines. That's just who she is. Like I said, when people bring people on, if, you know, I mean, you should want them to be on, because that's going to make what you're bringing more successful in my eyes, but that's me. But anyway, so next week we're going to get into the 90s. I'm going to do all 90 shows, and I thank you for rocking with me. I love you all. Thank you. See you all in the morning on Power Hour. Good night. God bless. Subscribe. Yeah, subscribe.